Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you here from the UK. Today is Saturday the 16th of December 2023 and I'm so glad you're watching today to talk about some knitting and crochet. Just for those of you who are new or newer viewers, I'm going to do a very quick reintroduction. So as I said, my name is Julia. I live here in the UK and have been living here for 3 years and a bit. I live with my husband and 3-year-old son. We moved over from Germany, as you can probably tell from my accent, although I am being told it is getting less obvious, which is a good thing. I love to knit. I absolutely love knitting and have done so for over 10 years. I also love to spin. I just never have the time for it. I do enjoy crochet. I've sort of gotten more into it, mainly blankets recently. But my first love will always be knitting. I just love yarn. I love playing with colors. I love making garments. I just love knitting anything, really. So hopefully that'll give you a quick overview. We also bought our first house in last February. So we're still sort of working our way on that, and I will share an update on that later. But I'll figure we'll start with the knitting and then go from there. So what am I wearing today? I am wearing this cardigan, which is a little bit fuzzy. This is my self-drafted cardigan from Rowan Felted Tweed. I mentioned this yarn last episode because it tends to really grow. So with this cardigan, it doesn't matter hugely, but it is definitely much looser than it initially was. I steeked this cardigan, which worked beautifully. I mean, look at that steek, isn't that? I love it. But yeah, it's a bit oversized, which I think doesn't look bad, but it doesn't make me love Rowan Felted Tweed, which is a shame because this is so soft and fuzzy. But you can tell with the sleeves. The sleeves were not this long when I made this cardigan. So yeah, there you go. That's what I'm wearing today. And I also have 2 finished objects. So if you've been watching recently, you know I have been trying to finish some things because I had about, I think, 9 works in progress. And it's just ridiculous. And I know I'm not going to get to 0 by the end of the year, especially as we're going away on Christmas Eve and I'm not going to take whips, I think. Because I have nothing that really lends itself to taking with me on a very limited amount of luggage space. But I'm still trying to finish some things, so I finished these socks. Finally, I won't go through the entire story of the endless sock saga again. Suffice it to say, they're finished. This yarn is from Jude of Stranded Dye Works. It was in one of his mystery grab bags in spring, I think. So this is a MCN high twist, which is beautiful. It's a one-of-a-kind colorway. And I made the Decathlon socks, which is a free pattern. It's just sort of a garter rib. It's really pretty. I love wearing these socks. They're a little bit, they're not massively cumbersome to knit, but if you don't like ribbing, essentially every second row of this is knitting ribbing. So just know what you're getting yourself into. But they create a beautiful fabric. And they're done. So I took these to my work Christmas party where we had a knitting circle, and I think I was like a little bit past the heel, knit most of the foot while we were there, and then I just finished them off the other day. So I'm so happy they're off the needles. This means I currently have no sock projects, which is crazy, so that will be remedied very soon. The only question is if I can hold off until we leave, and because I will definitely take some sock knitting for Christmas and the plane and so on, or if I need to cast on socks before then, I don't know. We will see. So they're done, and then I also finished, look at this, my hot water bottle cover. And I think it turned out beautifully, didn't it? This is knit out of a hand-spun yarn spun by me. It's a chain ply sort of gradient, which I think works really well. I think it's about a sport weight. It's got a little bit of sparkle to it and it's very soft. I remember it was a mix of like merino and I think some like soya fiber and milk fiber, some funky sort of different kinds of fibers in there, and then some Angelina. And yeah, it's beautiful. As I said many times, I don't use a pattern. There are lots of patterns online if you want to look. Just type it in on Google or Ravelry or whatever you use. Essentially what I do is I use Judy's Magic Cast On to cast on a few stitches less than my hot water bottle is wide. Then I increase as you would for a sock toe. Knit straight. You want this to fit very tightly. You don't want like positive ease because the warmth is supposed to come through, right? Then you throw in some rapid decreases, so I just decrease every round, and then you add some ribbing. And I actually bound off with the hot water bottle inside, so this is quite tight at the top, which I think works perfectly, but obviously that's not a requirement. I'm just too lazy to knit sort of the double ribbing that you would then fold over. But yeah, I love it. I have been using this a ton. This is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted, and I'm very happy with it. And I have bought some more of the tiny little hot water bottle covers, and I'm very tempted to just make some more because I think they're really fun. I mean, I bought the tiny hot water bottles, and I will be making the covers. But yeah, there you go. 2 finished objects, and yeah, should we move on to some works in progress? Because I hope you're proud, I have actually worked on my Sunday cardigan. I'm still not enjoying it, I will be honest. I think it's the yarn. This is the Sunday cardigan by Petite Knit, and those who've been watching for a while will know that I have knit a couple of Sunday sweaters. I do really like them. I think they're quite wearable, and yeah, I enjoy them. This is the first time I'm making the cardigan version, which I'm using very chunky yarn for this. The yarn that I'm using for this is Sandnesgarn Fritidsgarn, which is 100% Norwegian wool. I would say it's a chunky. I'm not sure if it's classified as Aran or chunky, but it's quite thick. I didn't bring anything with me, and I've just finished a ball, but you can tell it's a chunky yarn. I think it's soft for a non-superwash yarn. My husband thinks this thing is so scratchy, so it's just very subjective. It's a Norwegian wool, so it's not going to be super soft. Yeah, and just because of the chunkiness and the large needles, I'm finding it really, really cumbersome to work on, especially the purling. And I'm not usually one who hates purling. I don't really care. But I think I could have knit like a fingering or sport weight cardigan, and I would have been just as fast, because this, with the big needles, like, you just have to make big hand movements, and it's just not fun for me to work. Having said that, I have done a fair amount on the body. I'm not done, but depending on how cropped I want it, I can be done quite quickly. But at the moment, I have just taken off the needle tips and put a little stitch marker on so the stitches don't slip off, because I needed a break from the purling, and I decided to just get some sleeves done, and then, you know, it'll just be like a different thing to work on. So I knit most of the sleeve yesterday. Whoops, there's a hole. I will have to darn this up, but that's fine. So and this sleeve, I only essentially need to knit a ribbing. I think I'm going to do quite sort of a long ribbing, because I like a long rib. I think it's really cozy to have these like almost 4 inches of rib. So I need to find smaller needles, knit the rib, and I think then I will just do the second sleeve to have the sleeves out of the way, because they go quite quickly and there's no purling. And hopefully I should be able to crank this out relatively quickly. If you remember last week, I frogged my other garment project. This one I thought about frogging, but I do actually really want the end product, and I have tried this on and it fits really, really well. So I'm excited to have this. I just don't want to work on it, but I'm going to persevere. And hopefully have this done before Christmas. We'll see, but I think it is doable. If I don't finish it, it'll be very, very quick to finish whenever I pick it up again. So that is my Sunday cardigan by Petite Knit. I think I would be very open to knit this again with a different yarn. Because it's a chunky yarn, essentially this is quite a structured garment, which I think will be great. I think I can even wear this as an outside sort of garment in spring. But I keep imagining this in like a sort of silk mohair combo, and you could get a very similar gauge with holding something double but get a way sort of drapier fabric, and I think I would enjoy working on that a lot more, and that could also be very pretty because this is very sort of structured. This will hold up itself essentially, but with a different yarn. I could see myself knitting this again. So there you go. And I feel like I have fluff in my nose. I feel like I have to sneeze, but I can't. Anyways, last week I brought this project and didn't show it to you. In here I have my Cyin cardigan by Amy Palco. It's not a cardigan, it's a Cyin Poncho, sorry. I keep thinking it's a cardigan because I originally wanted to use this yarn for a cardigan, but I am not. So Amy brought out this poncho. It is very, very simple. The only sort of, it's not even difficult, but the only sort of slightly more challenging thing is you have short rows in the ribbing, which I think will make it sit very, very nicely. I'm not sure if you can tell, but here it sort of dips, which I think will make for a nice fit. And then once you get past the short rows, it's just raglan increases. So it's very, very simple potato chippy knitting. You can tell my cable is way too short, so you can't really see how big it is, but I have made some progress on it. And this is the sort of fabric I was talking about with the Sunday cardigan. This, I haven't measured the gauge. This is not much tighter than my Sunday cardigan gauge, but because I'm using one strand of whole super soft and one strand of Surrey silk, this is creating a thick sort of fabric, but it is much, much drapier, and this is much more joyous to work on. So this is the Drops Brushed Alpaca, and this is the most beautiful shade of Whole Super Soft I think that they have. This is Whole Super Soft Ember. So I bought these shade bags ages and ages ago. They were really, really affordable because it's just tiny bowls of one color, and you get about, I think, 200 grams of the yarn within one bag for a tiny amount of money. So I bought a couple of these bags a while ago, and they're really good, especially if you hold them double with something else. You can get a whole sweater out of them, and again, very, very cheap, which I am cheap. I can be cheap. But anyways, this is so gorgeous. I feel like one day I'm going to get myself a cone of this and make a sweater just with this whole double because it is stunning. Sorry, I feel like I've somehow breathed in some fluff, and yeah, we'll just continue, and hopefully I won't get too sniffly. I have two more knitting whips. So one needs to get finished desperately, and that's my husband's my husband's Christmas present. And here you go. You probably are sick of this as I am. This is the Pearl Soho No Pearl Scarf, which is a free pattern by Soho. And yeah, it is a charcoal scarf that looks like ribbing, but essentially you're just slipping stitches, so it's quite fun to knit. It's very, very mindless. I'm making mine relatively skinny, but I think it's going to grow a little bit with washing and blocking, and I think he will love it. This is definitely a bit of a labor of love because initially he just wanted socks for Christmas, but I knew he needed this. So I've decided to make him this instead of socks. And in hindsight, I'm not sure if socks may have been a bit quicker than this. I will still make him socks over Christmas. I'll probably take the yarn with me when we go to Germany. But this will just suit his wardrobe really well because I made him a blue scarf years and years ago and he wore that to death. And I don't know where that is, but he likes to have charcoal things at the moment. So I made him a cowl for his birthday, if you remember. He also has a charcoal ribbed hat that he wears all the time, and I think this will look really, really good. Like, it looks, you can wear this to the office, it looks quite fancy, it's timeless, and yeah, I do really like it actually for myself, if I may say so. So this is the amount of progress I've made since I last showed it to you, and I need to make some progress on this. I think my plan for today is to finish the ribbing on my cardigan and do another sort of 6 inches on this, and then I will allow myself a new cast on. The yarn that I'm using for this is Drops Big Merino in the colorway 3, which I think is just called Charcoal. And it's a really nice soft yarn. It's superwash. And yeah, I mean, this is just lovely. I think I could have used a bigger needle. This is quite thick. It's not very drapey. I think it works. I just could have made my life a bit easier by using a slightly bigger needle and possibly casting on less stitches. But it's really nice. I do like the fabric, and the needles that I'm using are 4mm. I have 5 balls of this yarn. I think I'm on the 4th ball, so I have plenty of yarn. I just sort of need to see how long I need to make this. I think I should make this like as long as I am tall. I think that's sort of the rule, isn't it? To knit a scarf that's roughly your height. I'm not gonna make it his height. I can tell you that. I'm going to block it out. But yeah, so I need to do a fair bit more, but I just need to do it. I just need to get through this, and I think it is really beautiful. I think if he doesn't lose this, he can wear this for years and years and years and years. So yeah, this one needs to be finished, but I think I'm on track. I should be able to do this. We probably will hand over Christmas presents to each other on the 23rd because we're going away on the 24th, and I'm not going to schlep this to Germany. So I have a week. We should be okay. And if not, I just wrap it. But I would like to have this done, and I think it's very possible. I just need to prioritize this, and I need to find time to work on this when he is not around, which obviously makes this a bit more difficult. But yeah, there we are. No Pearl Scarf by Pearl Soho. And lastly, I have my advent calendar knit. So this is the Wee County JC Rennie advent calendar, where you get a little ball of yarn each day, like this. And then it comes with a pattern. So I am up to day 16. If you do not want to see it, but I think not many people are making this. And let's have a look. This is where we are. And I wasn't loving the beginning, I will be honest. Especially this like bright yellow and green. I wasn't sure about it. But now, I mean, this is stunning, isn't it? I still hate this one section. I've even thought about just duplicate stitching over the yellow, but it's a lot of yellow to duplicate stitch. So I don't really know. I love this yellow. I think this is really pretty. It's just this section that I hate. But look at how beautiful the rest is. Like, I feel like these colors are blending or like moving really, really nicely. Hang on, I'm dropping stitches, which is never good. With this color combination, which was yesterday, I was like, am I definitely using the right color? Am I really doing this correctly? But I think I am. And I do think it looks quite pretty. But I was very much second guessing. Did I pick up the wrong color? Is this correct? But I think it is. So I'm going to be building on this today. And I'm really enjoying it. Look at these beautiful colorwork motifs. This one in particular I love so much. I could see myself knitting something just with this motif because I think it's very, very pretty. And there's a couple in there that are very, very beautiful. And once I block this, it'll be even nicer. I haven't really decided what length I'm making this to, because you always have the option to repeat the charts, and I haven't done anything so far. I've only skipped out on one repeat of this because I was lazy. And I would like this to be sort of a double wrap cowl, and I did the math yesterday and I think it might be a little bit too short, but it'll be too long to wear single wrap because I don't like the really long sort of necklace kind of cowls. So I need to figure out what I'm doing, but it's pretty, isn't it? I love it. And it's just been really fun to follow a pattern and just be surprised every day, just knit a little bit. This has taken up a fair amount of my knitting time, but I have really enjoyed it. And some of these color combinations, like I would have never picked this, but it's actually beautiful. And of course, I love the JC Rennie yarn. So yeah, that's where we are with that. It's going to be even more beautiful once it's blocked. And yeah, this has been my priority knitting at the moment, and I do enjoy it. And also, because the pattern finishes on Christmas, this will be done by Christmas. I'm still on track. So that'll be another project. The scarf has to be done by Christmas. This likely will be done by Christmas. My cardigan should also be done soon. So I feel like I am actually on track to finish things, which is good. Sorry, my chair is making funny noises. I hope you can't hear them. Lastly, I have my son's crochet blanket, which will not be finished by Christmas. I've given up on that, but I have made some progress. So I actually brought the yarn to show you as well. This is my second ball out of the 3 that I bought, and maybe I should have bought 4, or I should have made it less wide, but here we are. This is where we are at. Well, actually, this is the right way around, but you get the idea. He wanted a rainbow blanket. I decided to make his out of acrylic because he keeps using my blankets. He keeps spilling stuff on the woolen ones. He never spills it on the acrylic one. He always spills everything onto like my beautiful non-superwash ones. So he's gonna have this and he can drag it around on the floor and I don't care and I can just wash it. And I think it's really beautiful. I mentioned before that he wanted rainbow and I wanted something that doesn't give you like an eyesore when you look at it. I didn't want something crazy bright considering this is going to be in my living room. And I think this is beautiful. Actually, these sort of rich tones make me really happy. I think this yellow is beautiful. It's a stunning yarn. It is acrylic. It isn't the nicest yarn I've worked with. I don't love knitting with it, crocheting with it. There are nicer acrylics out there, but I got this on a Black Friday sale, and I think for the 3 cakes of yarn, including shipping, I paid £15, which is crazy. So this yarn is Papatya Cake, which is a Turkish yarn. I've seen Papatya yarns pop up all over the UK, and they seem to be quite nice. I think they're a good budget sort of acrylic if that's what you're in the market for, and I think there is a use for it. Would I use it for garments? Me personally, no. But yeah, for this blanket, it's doing the job because I wanted something that is very simple. I don't have to think, I don't need to do color management. And yeah, I think I'm just doing a granny stitch and I think it's looking really beautiful. So there we go. You can tell where I joined the second ball here. The ends are sort of crocheted in. I just need to snip them off once I'm done with the blanket. I also may have vacuumed this yarn yesterday. So I got too close to my crochet blanket, which was on the floor, and I had to like get the yarn out of the vacuum, and you can't tell, it looks just fine. So there you go. There's your hardiness of this yarn. And you guys, that is what I have been working on. So like I said, I have a couple of projects that I need to be finishing, but I think it's quite realistic. And yesterday I sat down and sort of started planning out what I'm going to be taking on my trip, because I always take too much yarn because you might run out. But also Germany is a place where I can buy yarn, and I shouldn't really be buying yarn, but also I only go there once a year, and so I might possibly stock up on some stuff that I can't get here. I haven't really planned any trips or yarn store trips or anything like that, but there's actually a new-ish shop in my town. It's not a yarn shop. They have a couple of different things, but they do have yarn, and they have quite beautiful yarn. So I'm going to try to take as little yarn as possible, but still not run out. So yesterday I sort of made a list, and I'm definitely taking at least 1 sock project. I might take 2 because socks are what I knit the most around my family. I also am thinking I might take the magenta yarn to make myself a hat, because I want a bright magenta hat. I have the yarn ready, I just haven't done it. So I might just take that with me. And then I was thinking, should I cast on a garment? I am tempted. I like to take a garment with me. Like I could take something fingering weight, wouldn't take very much space. But yeah, I don't know. Should I not? I haven't decided. I could cast on my Anchor's sweater and just take a bit of fingering weight. Like I can just take like 100 grams and knit that, and then join in the rest whenever I get home. What I also could do, this is the leftovers from my JC Rennie advent calendar. So what I've done every day, because I wanted to obviously keep the leftovers of the little balls that you get every day, but I was just losing them and I have lost one. So I decided to just bowl them up. So these are basically in the order that I've used them. So this is the last color that I've used and finished, and I just wind them on every day, which means I have a bowl of varying amounts of JC Rennie in a weird sort of color order. But I thought if I hold this with some kind of mohair and just make a really simple cowl or shawl, that would be really pretty. Like it would be, it's basically like a magic ball. Haven't decided. First I was thinking cowl, but I need to weigh this. I feel like this is quite a substantial amount of yarn because I have wound this quite tightly as well. So I need to weigh this once I have finished winding up all the yarns. If I were to make the cowl longer, then this is a terrible idea because I've just, they're all in there. Now I can't go back to the cowl and be like, oh yeah, I'll pick a bit more yellow and put a bit of blue. But I think this would be a really fun project to take. Just take some mohair. I need to see if I have something. And if it's too much for a cowl, because obviously there's limits to how large I want my cowl to be, I was thinking I could do like a really simple shawl, possibly a Westnet's one. He has so many that are really fun. Or I could even do something like brioche. But do I want brioche? Probably not. And this would be a really fun sort of leftover project. So just let the colors happen. And if there are uneven stripes, it doesn't matter. Just sort of go with the flow. This could be a very fun project to take. But I haven't decided yet. And it will probably depend on my mohair. And I think I don't have a quantity in stock. Because I have, I think, one or two more sweater quantities. Possibly, yeah, I have a dark navy and I have a yellow, which I might use with the yellow rowan felted tweed that I ripped out last week. But I don't want to break into a sweater's quantity of mohair. So yeah, I should get organized really. But that's another option. As you can tell, I haven't really made my mind up 100%, but I feel like at least I sort of know what I want to take, and then I can just go into my stash and pick out a couple of skeins, throw in some sock needles, and I should be good. And also, again, it's Germany. I'm not going to run out of yarn, am I? So that's sort of my knitting plans, and that's all the knitting content for this week. So if you're only here for that, thank you for watching. And I am 85% sure I'll be back once more before Christmas. So most likely see you next week. If you do want to stick around, and I'm sorry, my throat is getting quite sore. Just very quickly, what's been going on? Life is crazy, work is crazy, everyone's just going mad, including us and myself. We're just basically muddling through. There's no other way of describing it, but we're getting there. And honestly, I'm not a huge Christmas fan. I'm not a Grinch, but I'm not a Christmas fan. I'm sort of in the middle. I'll be very happy once this whole like Christmas thing is over. One more week to go. We're leaving to Germany on Christmas Eve. Have I prepared anything? No. Have I packed anything? No. Am I traveling with a 3-year-old? Yes. We'll see how that goes. But part of why our life has been quite stressful is because we are redoing our whole way. So you might remember we had mold issues, then realized it wasn't because of, the coats and the wet buggy and stuff. But there's water coming into our hallway, which has just been shoddily built, like onto a house at some point. First, we were just going to insulate the walls because there's no damp proofing. And then our lovely ex-neighbor / builder was like, you should take up the floor, really. And I lost it a little bit. But then we decided to do it because it needs to be done. So I picked up some really pretty tiles, which makes it so much better, because before it just felt like we were spending all this money for something that's really like, I don't care about my whole way. It was fine the way it was, and we were just going to spend a lot of money to have it look exactly the same. But now that we've picked some really pretty tiles, I feel much better, especially because it's such a small hallway. It is tiny. So we could afford to go a bit fancier on the tiles because you don't need very much. So that's been happening, and it's been a complete nightmare. No one's fault. We sort of scraped off the walls, the paint. And our builder then took up the floor. He found some terracotta tiles under the tiles, which was quite interesting. They're like very 80s. And then they put down bitumen paint, which honestly, that stuff stank up my entire house. It still smells, and it's now Saturday. They did this on Monday. I thought we were going to die of toxic fumes. It was awful, especially the first night. It was terrible. By now, thankfully, it's all good, and it turns out we don't need a second coat because I was quite worried. It also held up work for days because this stuff just didn't dry, and what a nightmare. So now the floor is also leveled. We sadly broke our builder. He was going to do tiling today, but he like messed up his back working in our tiny hallway around our door. Poor guy. So we told him to like take a break, come back on Monday. So I think on Monday he'll do the tiling. On Tuesday he'll do the grouts and ceilings and all of that stuff. So we should have a pretty new hallway, minus we need to paint it, by Christmas, which is a very nice early Christmas present if that works out. It has meant that obviously we haven't been able to use a hallway for a week, which is awful because we have a side entrance, so it does work, but it doesn't lock properly. So we're always like running through our garden, back door, It's just very annoying, especially if you have a 3-year-old. We have the buggy in the kitchen. We have all our coats in the kitchen. There is no space for all of this stuff in the kitchen. So yeah, I'll be very, very happy once we have a working hallway again. But yeah, that's that. Sorry, I don't know why I'm out of breath. Yeah, so that's been quite annoying, but hopefully I'm working Monday and Tuesday. So I'm hoping they can get a lot of this stuff done while I'm working, and they can luckily cut the tiles outside. So hopefully the disruption won't be going on for too much longer, and it'll be done. And then we just need to hope that this actually works and there will be no more water coming in, but fingers crossed. Yeah, aside from that, just, life just been happening. I have 2.5 more days to work. I am so excited to finish. I feel like nothing's going to actually get done, but that's just how it is. To make sure, because I'm supposed to only work the half day on Thursday, and I know myself, I will just continue working because I'll be stressed out and wanting to get stuff done. So I've booked myself into the hairdressers Thursday afternoon, which hopefully should help me sort of relax into actually what will be a Christmas break. So it should be a break, right? So I'm very much looking forward to just getting my hair done and yeah, just taking a break, and then hopefully we'll get to Germany somehow. At the moment, my entire family has COVID, but hoping by the time we get there, they should be okay. Yeah, I mean, COVID is everywhere at the moment. It's awful. I feel like we haven't really talked about COVID for a year, and all of a sudden, not surprisingly, it is everywhere. It's like my work, my family, everyone has COVID. But so far we've been good, so touch wood. Yeah, so that's what's happening. Like I said, I am hoping to film one more time before Christmas. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not going to stress myself out over it. And I know in the past, many times I have sort of promised I would maybe do some vlogging of travel and stuff. And I know I don't enjoy it, so I'm not going to promise anything. I'm just going to take this time to hopefully not get COVID, and just relax, because God, we need it. We're just hanging on by a thread at the moment. So yeah, I will likely see you before Christmas, and if not, I will see you after we come back in the new year. Until then, I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope all of you are safe and healthy and you have some yarn to play with. Thank you so much for watching and following along my podcast. I know some of you have been watching for a crazy long time, which is just, I can't even imagine. So thank you guys so much for your support, and I hope if I don't talk to you again, you have lovely holidays if you do celebrate. and I will talk to you guys very soon. Happy knitting. Bye.